Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. I have a very special episode for you here today. As I'm recording this, it is the fall of 2019, and we are starting to ramp up business planning season. And I've been talking to a lot of realtor friends and attended some conferences recently where there is a theme that seems to continually come up, which is the struggle to really master our mindset and manage our energy in a way that sort of ensures that we achieve everything we are setting out to accomplish in our lives, both personally and professionally. And as I'm working through my own business planning workshops that I offer every year at real estate offices around the country, I'm focusing this year heavily on this topic of energy management because it seems to be really an issue that I'm seeing a lot where so many of us, especially agents that are very successful and experiencing a high level of volume in their business, behind closed doors are feeling really burnout, stuck on the hamster wheel, struggling to kind of keep up and feel in control of their day. And so we're all kind of running through life and running through our business like a passenger on a speeding train. And I want to dig in today to a couple of strategies and systems that I implement in my daily routine and in my business, in my personal life, to make sure that I bring the highest level of energy possible to every encounter I have in my life and in my business. And also to make sure that I'm always on track to be moving forward in the direction of what's important to me. And so we're going to just jump right in here. I'm going to cover 3 topics. This is going to be a shorter episode. We're going to talk a little bit about belief systems, number 1, and how we can shift our belief systems from expecting success to simply hoping and wishing, and then having negative limiting beliefs holding us back from actually getting from where we are to where we wish we could be or where we dream to be. So we're going to talk about our belief systems. We're also going to talk about certain processes that you can implement in your own routine, both on a daily basis and annually as you look forward to a new year, to help you change your state of mind from that negative state to a positive state. And then third, I want to talk about specifically what activities are you doing on a daily basis and how are those activities either supporting you operating at the highest level or taking away from you operating at the best, highest version of yourself. So first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about belief systems. I think this is really important, especially if you're newer in the business and you're struggling to kind of get off the ground, or maybe you are experiencing success, but you're feeling a little burnt out and trading time and energy and relationships for that success. And maybe you're telling yourself that it's the only way. It's the only way to do this business is to be working around the clock and exhausted all the time, putting your best foot forward as often as possible, but behind closed doors, you might be struggling a little bit. And we all struggle with limiting beliefs around how to change our current reality. So one of the affirmations that I read every single morning in my journal, and something that I think is really worth copying and implementing into your own daily routine, is a quote. I don't even know where I read it, but it says, "Where you are is a result of who you've been, but where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be starting today." And I love this because there's a really important word there, which is the word choose. So sometimes we forget that we are the driver of our life and our business. If you're listening to this, chances are you're an entrepreneur, you're self-employed, and at some point you chose to take the risk to leave a steady paycheck and be 100% commission in pursuit of something, right? And what I've learned is that whatever you decide you want in your life and business is truly possible and available to you, as long as you make that decision first and foremost decisively. That's kind of repetitive. And then you commit to doing whatever it takes to ensure that what you want comes to fruition and becomes reality. One of the struggles I had early on was my relationship with money. And I read a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which is an awesome read if you are somebody who has limiting beliefs around what is possible, what you're capable of, what you deserve, Another affirmation that I read every day is this one that I think I learned this one from Hal Elrod in the Miracle Morning. And it says, I am as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving wealth as any person on earth, and I will prove that today with my actions. So when you put that one together with where you are as a result of who you've been, but where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be starting today. There's two things happening there. One is this affirmative that starting today, you can decide how you're going to behave. You can choose your actions. You can choose what you want out of life. And then you can show up and have activities that match the goals that you're setting out to achieve, right? But that I'm worthy, deserving, and capable, a lot of people struggle with that belief system because maybe there's something I learned a long time ago about the relationship we have with money. And a lot of you guys have probably heard me talk about this before. But when I had a personality profile test done a long, long time ago, it talked about the relationship with money being either tangible versus intangible. So for somebody who has a tangible relationship with money, you feel stronger, safer, more powerful, positive emotions when your bank account is growing, you have a growing savings account, income is coming in. So with each closing, you actually feel an emotional connection to the income, for example, or the state of your bank account. For somebody for whom money is intangible, and that's me, money is like a means to an end. And so a lot of times when you're someone for whom money is intangible, you can have a lot of limiting beliefs around money and have mantras that you say to yourself, like, I only need so much money to be happy, or I only need this much to get by, or, I don't need money to be happy, or whatever the case might be. And there's another expression that says that you can't exceed your own expectations. They talk about this in The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, this idea that our income will be relative to our belief system around what we are worthy, deserving, and capable of receiving. Okay. In other words, think about it as a thermostat. So in your home, you set the thermostat to 70 degrees. If the heat is on and once you hit 70 degrees, the heat shuts off. It won't go above 70 because that's what you set the thermostat up. Well, there's a similar thing with our relationship with money. If we say, I only need $75,000 a year to get by or to be happy or to be good, then chances are, even if we one year make more than 75,000, something will happen and the universe will intervene and we'll find our income calibrating down to the 75 that we think we're worthy or capable of receiving. So my recommendation for you is to think about what is some crazy, audacious goal that you could have, a wish, a dream, something that doesn't have to feel realistic or probable, but that if that were to come to fruition, your life would be radically improved. And when you think about that number, listen to what happens inside your heart and your mind. Because a lot of times what happens is if you've never made more than $75,000, for example, and you say to yourself, I wish I could make $200,000, immediately all these negative beliefs follow that. Like, well, that's not realistic. And that would require so much work. And I would never get a break, or it's not even probable because I've never made more than 75. So who am I to think that I can make 200? And all this negative junk happens. So, if you're watching this on video, then you can see that, I hold up one hand, which is the goal that you set. And then a lot of times that goal can be shrouded in negativity, either negativity about the probability of it actually ever coming to fruition, or what it's going to take to realize that, or whatever the case might be. There's just a lot of negativity around there. And so we have to do certain processes, which is going to lead us into the second thing I want to talk about today, which are what are the processes that we can do in order to move ourselves from a negative state into a positive state so that we can show up today and make sure that our activities match the goal that we're seeking, so that we can prove today with our actions that we are worthy, capable, and deserving of achieving wealth. Okay. And wealth does not only relate to financial wealth, right? Wealth can mean time freedom. It can mean the amount of time you get to hang out with your kids. It could mean the amount of time you travel the world. It could mean just having time to relax and do nothing. Okay. So whatever it looks like to you to have an abundant life, you first have to decide that, I decide I want this. Okay. And then I'm going to show up today And I'm going to prove with my actions that I am capable and worthy of this result. Okay. So here are some of the processes that I've learned from books and podcasts and everything else. And I know you guys all know that I'm an avid reader. And, some people might think that's silly or cheesy that I'm always reading business books, but I attribute the growth of my belief system, the development of my mind, and the results that I've had the pleasure of experiencing. I attribute it all to the books that I've read, because I believe that we don't all wake up in a great mood. We don't all wake up confident and happy and ready to go. And so the morning routine for me is the first step in making sure that I bring forth the best version of myself into the day, and that I can make sure that the activities that I prioritize will be in alignment with what I really want to have in my life. Now, I know if you're listening and you've heard me talk about the miracle morning before and you're not a morning person, you're probably ready to turn off and shut this down, but don't shut it off, because you can do this routine at any time of day. Okay. It doesn't have to be at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's really just about, if you're not in the mood, if you're feeling in a funk, what are some things that you can do to transition from the insecurity, the overwhelm, the stress, the frustration, and all the other negative emotions that come with entrepreneurship. Let's be real. So first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of meditation. I was not always, and I struggled with it for a long time. I still use an app on my phone called Calm. And every day they have a 10-minute guided meditation it's called the Daily Calm. And I love it because I know it's only 10 minutes. So it's not like I'm trying to sit still for an hour, which would be really hard for me. And I love that it's guided. I'm not just sitting there in silence and letting my mind wander, because if I do, it's often going to go to my to-do list. So it keeps on bringing you back into the present moment. And one quote that I really enjoy when I think about meditation and the role it's played in my life and my growth is this quote that says, with awareness, we can make conscious choices instead of letting our habitual thoughts and patterns run the show. I'm going to read that again because I love it. With awareness, we can make conscious choices instead of letting our habitual thoughts and patterns run the show. So when you take the time to pause in the morning and get centered and be still and remove the to-do list and all the swirling thoughts that typically are occupying your brain from the moment you wake up, and you give yourself that moment to calibrate, you gain some awareness. And that awareness gives you clarity. And that pause gives you a chance to decide how your day is going to go. And it also gives you an opportunity to prioritize what really matters. So what really matters in terms of what I want my life to look like, the goals, the financial, family, spiritual, physical goals that I have in my life. And then also today, what do I need to do today to prioritize to make sure that I'm choosing my results and not being a passenger, okay? Not letting the habitual thoughts and patterns run the show. Because most of us wake up in the morning, and unfortunately, a lot of us are probably guilty of rolling over and looking at our emails first thing. That's a habit that we have thanks to smartphones. Or we get right onto social media, which can really mess up our brains as well, first thing in the morning. And what ends up happening is, before we've even gotten out of bed, our brain is just swirling with to-do lists and worries and the fire that we're putting out and the stress of the day. And, if our spouse, our kids, our relationships, all the worries that we have as adults in our lives. And so if we don't take a moment to pause, then we don't ever really get into the driver's seat. Like, we don't get behind the wheel. It's just like the train is off and it's left the station, and you've lost the day. So I highly recommend starting with some kind of quiet time, calm meditation. Even if you don't meditate, you can just sort of clear your mind and think about the day. The second thing is gratitude. And everywhere you look for any kind of positive professional, personal development, they're going to talk about the emphasis on gratitude. Because if you're listening to this, chances are you have a computer, you have a phone, you have blessings in your life, you have food to eat, and you have a place to sleep. And there's a lot of things to be grateful for. Our hearts are beating. We likely have people who love us. We likely, have a roof over our head, and there's a lot to be grateful for. So focusing on gratitude is a great way to shift yourself from the scarcity mindset into the I am enough. I have so much to be grateful for. My life is already filled with blessings. And because I've already proven to myself that blessings are available to me and already exist in my life, I also know that I can create more blessings and more opportunity with intention and with decisiveness. Okay. And then I write a couple of things I'm grateful for, and then I write my affirmation. So whatever it is I really want to bring into my life, whether that be business related in terms of, I really want to be closing X number of transactions a month or generating X amount of income per month or per year, or that there's some lofty idea I have about, traveling Europe for a month with my family. Well, I might write about that, because as I write that affirmation that I enjoy traveling Europe for a month, then ideas will come to mind to help me sort of find the path to making the seemingly impossible become inevitable. So this is all part of the process. I start to envision, what do I really want in my life? I have this exercise that my coach had me do a long time ago that I have my coaching clients do now, which is the WTF. What do you really want? Because we spend so much time, especially in our industry as entrepreneurs and real estate agents, lenders, is that we are service-oriented human beings. So we wake up in the day and we're immediately thinking about the people we need to call back, the emails in our inbox, and the people we're trying to serve, because we want to please and we want to help people. And that is a valid thing and a valid characteristic that we all should have and embody as service people, right? The problem is that we spend so much time serving the needs of everyone around us, we forget to think about why we got started to begin with. We lose ourselves in the process. And so the WTF is something where you can do this at any time. You can do it during your business planning process at the end of each year, and you can do it throughout the year to revisit what really matters in your life, and why did you become self-employed to begin with, and what are you seeking? Is it freedom and flexibility? Is it the ability to travel when you want? And if these are the things that you really want, my question would be, are you permitting yourself those things? Or are you guilt tripping yourself into being a ping pong throughout your day, being in reactive state all day long, and getting to the end of the day and having no idea what you even accomplished that day? So in terms of a process for changing your state of mind, I would highly recommend that you incorporate some routine into your day that gives you a moment to pause. It gives you a moment to think about what you really want in this life, to be grateful for what you already have, and then to say to yourself, I am worthy, deserving, and capable, and I will prove that today with my actions, so that you can get clear on what you need to do today to take you one step closer to where you want to be in your life, in your business. Okay? The last thing I want to touch upon here is that part of the business planning workshop every year is that we do these year in review questions. And there's an intention, there's a reason behind this journaling process that we do, where we reflect on the last year. And again, this isn't something that you can only do at the end of the year. If you're listening to this in March, there's no reason why you can't do this. And if you need these resources that I'm referring to, you can always contact me through my website, which is www.pursuingfreedom.com. There's a contact me page. I'm happy to share resources with you guys to help you with this journey. But basically, the year in review questions, they ask very specific targeted questions, such as, what are the 3 greatest happenings of the last year? What new relationships did you develop? What relationships did you deepen? Who do you have to thank? What was the biggest risk you've taken? What was the smartest decision you've taken? On and on it goes. And when we work through this process, I always ask people at the end of the journaling exercise, how are you feeling right now? And most people will admit that they're feeling grateful, proud, accomplished, maybe at peace, content, happy, joyful. So what happens is, as we look back on the last year and we identify all the amazing things that have already happened in the last 12 months, we often realize, wow, look how far we've already come. And look how much I already have in my life. And look at all the love that surrounds me. Look at all the people who support me. And what's happening is that you are subconsciously shifting from a state of fear, insecurity, overwhelm, stress, preoccupied, etc., over to this other state of peace, calm, happiness, abundance. And from there, you can really get clear on how I'm going to move through the day, how I'm going to move through the next month or the next year, and find that belief system in your heart that you already have so much. You already possess everything it takes to have whatever you want in this life. And it's up to you to decide to show up today and go for it. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about here is the activities that we do on a daily basis and how they either energize us or sap us, like sap our energy. I don't know if that made sense, but certain activities that we do throughout the day are either going to fill your bucket and get you high energy and magnetic and operating on a different plane, or they're going to deplete you and sap your energy and result in you feeling a little bit flat. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So sometimes you bump into a friend or you go have lunch with somebody and you laugh and you have a great time. And as you leave that encounter, you're glowing. You're still giggling from whatever made you laugh before. And then the next person that you meet gets the ripple effect of your positive energy coming, radiating off of you. And then there's the way we feel after an argument or after we've received a complaint from a client where we feel really depleted and we're down. And so when we go into our next encounter, whatever that might be, a client that we run into, a significant other, whatever, we kind of bring that negative energy with us. And that can also have a ripple effect. You know, it can either have no effect at all or it can have a negative effect, but it's certainly not going to help you attract what it is that you're seeking. And we've been talking a lot about this year, this idea of being a lighthouse in your business. Instead of being a hunter, instead of being someone who is checking the boxes and going through the motions and kind of muscling through the activities that you know you should do or you need to do to get from where you are to where you want to be, that we can shift our energy and find ways to have fun and have joy and bring joy intentionally into our day so that we're having so much fun that we forget that we're doing work. And then what ends up happening is all of a sudden the phone is ringing off the hook, the emails are blowing up and our business is exploding. And it feels like we weren't even working that hard. We're attracting what it is that we're seeking. So first and foremost, we talked about in the beginning is that you need to know what you want, right? You have to choose and you have to decide that where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be starting today. And so first you have to decide where you want to go. You have to have that intention in place and have your goals set. And then you need to find ways to manage your energy so that your success becomes inevitable because you're attracting it rather than having to seek it and struggle to find it. Okay. So here's some suggestions. I read a great book called Free to Focus, which I've been recommending nonstop because it has an exercise in the book that helps you identify what activities you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in your personal life and professional life that energize you. And these are activities that you both enjoy, like you love doing it, and you're good at it. And it moves the needle. So these are called your desire zone activities. You also have activities that you're good at, but you don't necessarily enjoy. So that might be doing an inspection resolution. It might be silly things like, booking an open house and putting out the signs and marketing it. There's certain things that you do that you are probably fine at doing. You do a great job at it, but maybe you don't enjoy it. And therefore it kind of taps your energy and you don't even realize it. Then there's activities that's called the disinterest zone. Then there's activities that you might enjoy, but they don't move the needle. So they're kind of time wasters. That might be like spending time on social media. Maybe you're having fun doing it, but maybe it's not actually moving the needle in your business. That's called the distraction zone. And then last but not least are activities that you neither enjoy nor are good at. And that is the drudgery zone. So I know for me, for example, managing my inbox is something that will take me down the rabbit hole. It will deplete me energetically. It does not fill my bucket. It's something that has to be done. It's a necessary thing, right? It's part of our job. So intentionally, I manage my inbox and process it to empty in the afternoon so that I don't allow myself to be sapped of energy early in the day when I want to get my desire zone activities done. And I want to do those activities with the best version of myself, the highest energy, the most magnetic. Okay. So when you're going through your activities, I would recommend do a little analysis. Pay attention. Look back at yesterday and the day before. What was on your to-do list? What boxes did you check? Okay. And then as you go through those activities today and tomorrow, think about, pay attention, what's happening to my mood? What's happening to my energy level as I go through these tasks? Some of those tasks that you feel are sort of bringing you down energetically, you can either determine, can you delegate these items to somebody else? Can you hire a part-time assistant, or is there a transaction coordinator you already have that could help you with some of these activities? Can you eliminate them completely? Are you wasting time on things that shouldn't be done? Are they distraction zone activities? They should be eliminated. If it's just something you're doing for fun, but it's not moving the needle. Now, caveat to that, if meeting a friend for lunch is fun, but it doesn't feel like it's moving the needle necessarily with your business, but it fills you up, if it fuels you and you leave that encounter with that person in a totally better mood and a different state of energy, then that is worthwhile. Okay. Because then you can bring that better version of yourself into the next activities. But if it's a distraction zone activity where it's actually resulting in you just finding yourself bored and it's not energizing you, then that should be eliminated completely. And then lastly is, can it be automated in some way? Now we do have to do some activities that fall into the distraction, disinterest, and drudgery, which is fine. But can you decide when you're going to do those activities in order to bring the best foot forward with the desire zone activities? So if you read Free to Focus, they dive deep into this whole entire process and strategy. And I found it to be extremely helpful for me with energy management. And I feel like this is a really important topic that you guys should think about is, are you bringing the highest level version of yourself into every interaction such that the magnetism means that your results become inevitable? Or are you muscling through the day? Because pay attention to that. And I think that if you can find a way to spend 70% of your day doing desire zone activities and 30% doing all the rest, and you can schedule that in a way that you ensure that your desire zone activities are the most effective they can be, I think you're going to see your results skyrocket. Okay. Another book that I want to recommend, and I'm sorry because I did not write the title of this book, but cover your ears if you do not like profanity, because the name of the book is Unfuck Yourself. And it's a great short read that's actually an easy read. And each chapter basically has an affirmation tied to it. And so one of the chapters, the affirmation is, I am willing. And I love this because it comes back to where I go depends entirely on who I choose to be starting today. That means that I am willing. I want something. I have this crazy, audacious dream, wish, goal, whatever you want to call it, that might seem unrealistic and improbable, but it's what I really want. And I've decided I want it one way or another. I'm going to get it, right? That means that I am willing to show up today and prove that with my actions. I am willing to do whatever it takes to ensure. Now, here's the interesting thing. I am willing, to me, is very powerful because it doesn't just speak to specific activities that might be hard to do. Like if you're someone who knows that you have a goal of doing 5 outbound calls per day to your database and you just struggle with making the calls, then you might say, I'm willing to make the calls because I want the results. And that's great because that's a great application in my mind of I am willing. But one of the other areas that I think is really powerful is when we come to setting boundaries. This is a huge issue in our industry where so many of us, because we care deeply about our clients, we feel that we're doing the best service possible if we respond immediately to every incoming text, every incoming email and phone call, and we never set any boundaries or do any time blocks in order to proactively manage our energy, our mindset, and ultimately our results. And so I am willing, to me, applies to I am willing to set boundaries to ensure that I carve out time for those desire zone activities to ensure my success is inevitable. Or I am unwilling to allow anything in my way. I'm unwilling to allow someone to interrupt the time that I am applying to the most important activities in my life and my day. And that could be time with my loved ones. It could be my exercise. It could be the activities I need to do to move my business in the direction it's trying to go. But I want you guys to think about that. And it's a great read. There's a number of other awesome affirmations that I have from that book. But I just love this idea of I am willing. I am willing to set boundaries. I am willing to change the way I'm operating in my business, because where I am as a result of who I've been and where I go depends entirely on who I choose to be starting today. So if you're someone who struggles with boundaries, with setting some simple rules in your day and your week, some time blocks, whatever you want to call it, where you say, this is what I commit to. on a daily, weekly basis. It all comes back to these same theme over and over again. I commit, I decide, I choose. So just because you're not someone who has been successful in the past with time blocking or boundaries doesn't mean you can't start today. One thing that I would highly, highly recommend, and this is just in order to force myself out of the bad habits, just one example is that I do have a bad habit of clicking on the mail icon on my phone 400,000 times a day. Even if there's no alerts there, I just can't help myself. I just click on the mail button. I click on the mail button. I'm like, are there any new emails? Are there any new emails? Why am I doing that? If someone needed me urgently, what would they do? Would they email me? No. If I needed you urgently, I would call you first. And if you don't answer, I would probably text you in case you're in a meeting, because I would assume you would look at that before you would look at your email. So I've got to stop myself from constantly checking email, because it's saying, if I'm constantly checking email, then I'm basically saying I'm willing to allow everybody else's agenda to derail me from whatever's most important to my agenda today. So in order to force this habit to shift, I actually have to go into the settings on my iPhone. I go into mail and I literally turn it from green to off, so that if I click on the mail icon, you can't see anything. There's nothing there. And so I still click on the icon 100 times a day, but as I do that, there's nothing there. And so it reminds me, wait a minute, this is not the time to manage your inbox. Okay. That's not to say you can't turn it on and scan your emails and make sure there's nothing there. Of course. I mean, I'm not crazy. I do scan my emails, but I also have a specific time of day where I actually get into my inbox and manage it completely. And guess what? When I'm done, I'm a little tired because it's one of my drudgery zone things. And I know that. So I would highly recommend pay attention to your energy, pay attention to how you're spending your day, pay attention to your belief systems, and then choose to show up today in a different way than you showed up yesterday. And just know that it's never going to be perfect. We're all a work in progress, and we're all on a journey here to live our best lives. And I just want to be a resource to help you guys believe in, first and foremost, and then achieve the time and financial freedom that you were seeking to begin with when you became self-employed. So as always, I love and appreciate you. If you guys have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. You can follow me at Pursuing Freedom Official on Instagram, and you can DM me there. I'm always quick to respond, or you can contact me through pursuingfreedom.com. And I'm always here to be a resource and here to support you on your journey. So thanks, and have an awesome day.